In all of recorded human history, we had never encountered a civilization quite like the Galactic Empire. Their ships first appeared in our solar system on a quiet Tuesday morning, massive crystalline structures that dwarfed our largest space stations. The media called it humanity's first contact. The military called it a potential extinction-level event. But those of us who worked in deep space intelligence, we called it our wake-up call. I remember watching the feeds from my station on Europa when their ambassador's message reached Earth. Their civilization spanned thousands of star systems, they said. They had technologies we couldn't even comprehend, they claimed. And now they wanted to integrate our species into their empire, for our own protection, of course. The thing about working in deep space intelligence is that you learn to read between the lines. You develop an instinct for threats wrapped in diplomatic pleasantries, and everything about their approach set off alarm bells. The way their ships position themselves around our major population centers, the subtle electromagnetic interference with our defense systems, the deadline they gave us for our voluntary integration. But they made one critical mistake. They assumed that because we were younger, because we hadn't spread beyond our solar system, we were naive. They never bothered to check our history, never studied how humans react when backed into a corner, never learned why every other spacefaring race gave Earth a wide berth. "Sir," my junior analyst said one morning, her eyes glued to the data streams, "I found something interesting in their ship movements." She pulled up a holographic display showing the Empire's fleet formations. They're maintaining perfect geometric patterns. Too perfect, like they've never had to adapt to actual combat conditions. That's when it hit me. The Empire hadn't evolved through conflict like we had. They'd grown through absorption of willing or weaker species. They'd never faced a civilization that fought back, never dealt with guerrilla warfare, asymmetric tactics, or the sheer unpredictability of human combat doctrine. We sent them a simple message. We respectfully decline your offer of integration. We suggest you reconsider your current course of action. They laughed, actually laughed. Their ambassador sent a recording of their High Council chuckling at our primitive bravado. They gave us 24 hours to reconsider before they would begin their peaceful integration process. In response, we activated Operation Pandora. I can't tell you the details, most of it's still classified, but I can tell you this: we didn't survive 2 world wars, the climate crisis, and a dozen near misses with nuclear annihilation without learning a few tricks. We didn't spend centuries developing military strategies, studying historical battles, and preparing for every possible threat just to roll over at the first sign of superior technology. The Empire's ships were impressive, yes. Their technology was advanced, certainly, but they had no concept of stealth technology, no experience with electromagnetic warfare, no defense against the thousands of automated drone swarms we hidden throughout the solar system. And most importantly, they had no idea what humanity was capable of when united against a common threat. As I sit here now, watching their mighty armada frantically regroup at the edge of our system, I can't help but smile. The Empire thought they were giving us an ultimatum. Instead, we gave them an education, a lesson about humanity that they'll never forget. But this is just the beginning. The Empire's retreat isn't the end of our story. It's the opening chapter, because now they know about us, and soon, very soon, they'll have to make a choice: leave us in peace, or learn exactly why the galaxy's other civilizations warned them to stay away from Earth. The first wave of their counterattack came 3 days later, not with the grand fleet we expected, but with something far more insidious: information warfare. The Empire began broadcasting across all frequencies, trying to turn Earth's population against itself. They revealed classified government programs, exposed political secrets, and attempted to spark civil unrest. But they didn't understand that humanity had already lived through the age of information warfare. We developed antibodies to these tactics long ago. What fascinated me most was watching their strategies evolve in real time. Each failed attempt taught them something new about us, and each lesson seemed to genuinely disturb them. They couldn't comprehend how a species could be simultaneously so fractious yet so united, so technologically young yet so battle-hardened. They're scanning our entertainment archives, my analyst reported one morning. particularly our military fiction and historical documentaries. I watched as they consumed centuries of human culture, our books, our movies, our games. They were trying to understand us, trying to find a weakness. Instead, they found our greatest strength, our endless capacity to imagine and prepare for every possible threat. The Empire had never encountered a species that had spent millennia imagining how to fight superior alien forces. They had never faced an enemy that had already rehearsed this exact scenario countless times through simulation and storytelling. Every tactic they tried, we'd already thought of. Every strategy they employed, we'd already countered in theory. But it was their interrogation of our captured scout pilot that really shook them. The pilot, following years of training, simply recited his name, rank, and serial number, then started humming an ancient rock song. The Empire's psychic probes, designed to extract information from willing or weak-minded species, encountered something they'd never seen before: human psychological resistance techniques developed during centuries of terrestrial conflicts. "Sir, my senior strategist called me over to his station one evening. You need to see this. He showed me the thermal readings from the Empire's fleet. Their ships were running hot, very hot. They were keeping their shields at maximum power constantly, burning through their energy reserves. They were afraid, not of our weapons, but of not knowing where or when we would strike next. The Empire had grown soft. They'd relied on their technological superiority for so long they'd forgotten the fundamental rule of warfare. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And humanity, we had fight to spare." We intercepted a transmission from their fleet commander to the High Council. The translation was rough, but the message was clear. This species, they're different. They fight like they'd been at war their entire existence. Every victory costs us more than any previous conquest. Even their civilians seem prepared for conflict. We found weapons designs in their children's drawings. Their entertainment simulates warfare. Their history is written in battles. We thought we were invading a primitive world. Instead, we may have awakened something that should have been left alone. As I read that transmission, I couldn't help but think about all the peace protests I'd attended in my youth, all the times I'd wished humanity would grow beyond its violent past. The irony wasn't lost on me. Our capacity for warfare, the very thing I'd once hoped we'd evolve past, had become our shield against extinction. But the Empire's fear was about to evolve into something else entirely. Something none of us could have predicted, because deep in their classified archives, they just discovered something about Earth's location in the galaxy, something that would change everything. What the Empire discovered in their archives sent shockwaves through their entire civilization. Earth wasn't just another primitive world on the fringes of space. It was located in what their ancient texts called the Crucible of Warriors. According to their records, every species that had ever evolved in this sector of space had become a dominant military force. Some had vanished mysteriously, while others had simply chosen isolation, but all of them shared one trait: they were undefeated. The Empire's reaction to this discovery was immediate and dramatic. Their fleet doubled in size overnight, not out of aggression, but out of pure fear. They'd inadvertently challenged the latest species to emerge from the Crucible, and now they were terrified of what might follow. I was in the middle of a briefing when our quantum sensors detected something unprecedented. The Empire's ships were forming new patterns we'd never seen before, not attack formations, but defensive ones. They were expecting something, and whatever it was, it scared them more than we did. Multiple unknown signatures detected at the edge of the system. Our sensor operator announced, her voice steady despite the tension. Our screens lit up with dozens, then hundreds of new contacts. But these weren't Empire ships. These were different, sleeker, darker, more predatory in design. The newcomers sent a single, simple transmission, not to the Empire, but to us. "We've been watching." The message read, "You've done well, younger siblings. The Empire needed to be taught this lesson. We are the Void Hunters, one of the first to emerge from the Crucible. We've been monitoring this sector since before your ancestors left their caves." The Empire's reaction was almost comical. Half their fleet immediately jumped to faster-than-light speed, abandoning their invasion force. The remaining ships clustered together like scared children, their weapons powered down in a clear sign of submission. But what happened next showed us just how much the Empire had underestimated humanity. The Void Hunters didn't step in to fight our battle. Instead, they simply watched, treating the whole thing like some kind of cosmic test. A test that, apparently, we were passing with flying colors. Our response to this revelation was uniquely human. Instead of celebrating the Empire's fear or the Void Hunters' approval, we did what we always do: we adapted. Our military strategists began analyzing the Void Hunters' ships for weaknesses, even as our diplomats drafted messages of peaceful intention. Trust, but verify, an ancient human wisdom that had served us well. "Sir," my analyst called out, her voice tight with excitement, "I'm picking up massive energy signatures from both fleets. Something big is about to happen." She was right. The Empire's remaining ships were charging their primary weapons, not aimed at Earth, but at the space between their fleet and ours. They were preparing for something, or someone, else to arrive. That's when our quantum computers decoded the rest of the Void Hunter's message, and everything changed. The Empire's invasion wasn't just about conquering Earth. They'd been running from something that had been chasing them across the galaxy, something that had driven them to desperately seek new territories and resources. And now, whatever they'd been running from had followed them straight to Earth, straight to the crucible of warriors. The real test wasn't how we would handle the Empire. It was how we would handle what came next. As alarms blared across every human installation in the solar system, I watched our fleet commanders gather for an emergency briefing. The Empire was about to learn another lesson about humanity. We might fight among ourselves, we might resist their control, but when faced with a greater threat, humans don't just set aside their differences. We turn them into strengths. The thing that emerged from the depths of space made the Empire's ships look like children's toys. It wasn't a fleet. It was a living darkness that devoured light itself. Our sensors couldn't get a clear reading on it, but the Empire's reaction told us everything we needed to know. This was the apex predator of space, the cosmic horror that had sent them fleeing across the galaxy. They call it the Void Plague. The Empire's commander transmitted, his usual arrogance replaced by raw fear. It consumes entire civilizations, absorbs their technology, and adds their biological distinctiveness to its own. We thought we could outrun it. We thought if we absorbed enough species, gained enough technology, we could fight it. We were wrong. The Void Hunter's next transmission was brief. "Now you understand why we watched and waited. The true test isn't just about warfare. It's about survival. The Crucible doesn't just forge warriors. It forges survivors. Show us what humanity can do." In that moment, something unprecedented happened. The Empire's remaining ships moved to form a defensive line alongside our fleet. Our former enemies, now potential allies, faced the approaching darkness. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Another piece of ancient human wisdom that proved universal. "Sir," my analyst called out, her voice filled with a mix of awe and terror, "the Void Plague. It's not just consuming matter. It's consuming space-time itself." She was right. Our quantum sensors showed distortions in reality around the entity, as if it was digesting the very fabric of the universe. But humanity had one advantage that neither the Empire nor the Void Plague expected. Throughout our history, our greatest achievements had come not from our strength, but from our desperate innovations in the face of overwhelming odds. And we had been preparing for something like this, even if we didn't know it. "Project Prometheus," I whispered, reaching for the secure quantum comm link to Earth Command. The project had been our most closely guarded secret, a weapon so powerful we'd been afraid to even test it. It was based on a theory so controversial that most scientists had dismissed it: the idea that consciousness itself could be weaponized. The Empire had tried to read our minds and failed. The Void Plague consumed consciousness and technology. But what would happen if we gave it too much consciousness to handle? What would happen if we overloaded it with the full weight of human experience, human emotion, human determination? As I transmitted the authorization codes for Project Prometheus, I caught something strange in the data streams. The Void Hunters weren't just watching anymore. Their ships were moving into position, forming an ancient pattern that our archaeologists had found carved into cave walls on Earth, a pattern that predated human civilization. The Empire's commander, now patched into our command channel, saw it too. "That's impossible," he breathed. "That formation, it's in our oldest records. We thought it was just a myth." He paused, and for the first time, I heard respect in his voice. "Your planet. Earth isn't just located in the Crucible. Earth is the Crucible." Before any of us could process what that meant, our quantum sensors detected something new. The Void Plague wasn't just approaching anymore. It was changing direction, moving with purpose rather than hunger. It had sensed something about Earth, something that made it break its pattern of mindless consumption. It wasn't hunting anymore. It was coming home. The truth hit us like a quantum shockwave. The Void Plague wasn't just coming to consume Earth, it was returning to where it had been born. In that moment, the Void Hunters' presence made perfect sense. They weren't here to help us or test us. They were here to prevent something they'd seen happen before, perhaps countless times throughout history. Project Prometheus isn't just a weapon, I announced over the command channel. It's a key. Our scientists had discovered something extraordinary in human consciousness, a pattern that matched the quantum signature of the Void Plague itself. We weren't just another species from the Crucible. We were the descendants of those who had escaped the last time this happened. The Empire's commander, now fully integrated into our command structure, shared their ancient records. Every civilization that had risen from Earth's sector of space carried fragments of the same quantum signature. We were all children of the survivors, spread across time and space, each carrying a piece of the solution. "All ships, execute Formation 0, I ordered, transmitting the coordinates from humanity's oldest archaeological records. The same formation the Void Hunters had taken, the same pattern carved in ancient caves. Our fleet moved in perfect synchronization with the Empire's ships, guided by something deeper than technology, genetic memory encoded in our very DNA. The Void Plague reached the outer edge of our formation just as Project Prometheus reached full power. But we didn't fire it like a weapon. Instead, we broadcast a signal that carried the combined consciousness of every human volunteered for the project. Not to attack, but to communicate. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. The Void Plague stopped its advance, its darkness rippling with patterns we'd seen in our oldest art, our most fundamental mathematical equations, our earliest dreams. It wasn't just recognizing us, it was remembering. "It's not a plague." The Void Hunters' leader finally spoke, their voice heavy with ancient knowledge. "It's a guardian, a failsafe created by those who came before, designed to prevent any single species from dominating the galaxy. But somewhere across the ends, it lost its purpose, forgot what it was meant to protect. Through Project Prometheus, we showed it the truth. Earth wasn't just a crucible for creating warriors. It was a vault, preserving the essence of countless civilizations that had faced extinction. The Void Plague hadn't been consuming species. It had been preserving them, storing their consciousness until it could find its way back to where it all began. The darkness began to recede, not in retreat, but in transformation. As it changed, it released the stored consciousness of thousands of species, each carrying their own stories, their own wisdom, their own paths to survival. The Empire's ships registered millions of quantum signatures, each representing a civilization thought lost to history. But there was one final twist in this cosmic drama. As the last of the preserved consciousness was released, the Void Plague revealed its true form, a mirror of humanity's potential future. It showed us visions of what we might become if we continued on our current path. A species so focused on survival that we forgot why we wanted to survive in the first place. The Empire's ships departed soon after, their mighty fleet humbled by the revelation that their endless conquest had been pushing them closer to becoming what they feared most. The Void Hunters remained, no longer watching, but working alongside us, helping to understand the vast repository of knowledge left in the Void Plague's wake. As for humanity, we had passed a test we didn't know we were taking, proven ourselves worthy of not just survival, but of something far more important, guardianship. Earth wasn't just our home, it was the galaxy's memory, a sanctuary for consciousness itself. In the end, the Empire had been right to fear us, but for the wrong reasons. We weren't dangerous because we were good at war. We were dangerous because we carried within us the potential to either save or destroy everything. And now we knew it. In the months that followed, humanity found itself in an unprecedented position. We were no longer just another species trying to survive in a vast galaxy. We had become the custodians of countless civilizations' wisdom and knowledge. The quantum data banks left behind by the Void Plague contained technologies we could barely comprehend, but also warnings about the price of advancing too quickly without wisdom to match. The Empire, humbled by their experience, established diplomatic relations with Earth, not as conquerors or equals, but as students. Their representatives would often sit for hours, listening to human children play, watching our artists create, studying how we turned our conflicts into stories and our fears into fuel for innovation. They were learning what they had forgotten over millennia of unchallenged dominance, the art of being human. The Void Hunters revealed more about our shared history. Earth hadn't just been a crucible for creating warriors. It had been a forge for crafting civilizations that could maintain their humanity even as they reached for the stars. Each species that emerged from our sector of space carried this essential trait, the ability to advance technologically while retaining their capacity for emotion, creativity, and growth. Your entertainment wasn't just entertainment. A Void Hunter elder told me during one of our many discussions. Your stories about alien invasions, cosmic horrors, and humanity's survival, they were memories passed down through generations, preparing you for this moment. She gestured to a group of children playing nearby, their games already incorporating elements of our recent cosmic adventure. And now you're creating new memories, new preparations for challenges yet to come. Project Prometheus was decommissioned, but its lessons weren't forgotten. We had proven that human consciousness, when united in purpose, could bridge gaps that technology alone couldn't cross. The project's volunteers became teachers, helping others understand the delicate balance between advancement and wisdom that our ancient ancestors had tried to preserve. As for me, I still work in deep space intelligence, but our mission has changed. We no longer just watch for threats. We watch for opportunities to help other emerging civilizations avoid the mistakes of the past. Sometimes, late at night, I look at the quantum readings from the edge of our solar system, where echoes of the Void Plague still linger. They remind me that every end is just another beginning. The Empire's invasion had taught us that we were stronger than we knew. The Void Plague had shown us why we needed that strength, but it was what we chose to do with these lessons that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. I think about that quiet Tuesday morning when it all began, how we thought we were facing the end of human civilization. Instead, we had discovered its purpose, not to conquer, not to merely survive, but to preserve what makes us human even as we reach for the stars. Our children now play in quantum parks where holographic displays show the histories of 1,000 civilizations. Our scientists study technologies that blur the line between consciousness and reality. Our artists create works that can be fully experienced rather than simply viewed. But through it all, we remember the lesson that saved us. True strength lies not in the ability to win wars, but in the wisdom to know why we fight them. The Empire never had another war with humans. They didn't need to. We had given them something far more valuable than victory. We had given them back their humanity, and in doing so, we had finally understood our own. As I finish recording this account, a new signal is appearing on our quantum sensors. Another young civilization, taking its first steps into the galaxy. They're nervous, excited, ready to prove themselves, just as we were not so long ago. And thanks to everything we've learned, we know exactly what message to send them. Welcome to the stars, younger siblings. Don't worry, we'll help you find your way home.